I'd like to introduce Sue Puglia, IBM Vice President of University Programs and Vice Chair of the IBM Academy of Technology, to talk about collaborative innovation centers. Sue.
Great, thank you, Richard. Hopefully I'll face the right way here. Now, can we get my deck up? I'll let you. So what I'll do this morning is I'm actually going to tag team a bit with Marcellus Mindel, who I'll introduce shortly. But I'll briefly talk about what we're seeing as an opportunity really for regions along with IBM, and what's really manifesting itself as what we're calling collaborative innovation centers. And Canada has been a great partner to us in this. And I'll try to give you a bit of what leads up to this, and then Marcellus will take it from there and also talk a bit more about how we're trying to, I'd say almost really capture this in a kind of a recipe of this is how we might approach doing more of these around the world. Great. So just a little bit of history to get us off here. IBM University Programs has been around for over 60 years, and it started on Columbia, the campus of Columbia University. Our research organization actually started on Columbia's campus. And of course, the relationship, not surprisingly, was around research and joint research. And out of that, we offered faculty awards, PhD fellowships. So various programs started to be introduced around that. And in the 90s and early 2000s, skills, of course, became of utmost importance to universities as well. So we married the research and, well, not married it, because these were, in some cases, different universities, but we would go after also the ones where we had partnerships and build out some of the skills, what we call now the skills programs around, for example, Academic Initiative, which was introduced in 2004. Now, there was also another motivation on IBM's part, of course, to get our software, into universities, get students using them, get the graduates familiar with them, but it's all really around the skills emphasis in the company. And it's evolved, the university programs agenda has continued to evolve. I mean, of course, as I said yesterday, skills is, more important, I think, than ever right now for our clients, for our business partners, for IBM, for universities, and for governments as well. But we've also kind of moved into some more joint models as well, where we do more than skills development. I mean, we heard from Odette yesterday about the great work in Nova Scotia, when we really bring together the multiple agendas around skills, innovation, and overall regional economic development for a particular region. So we started to introduce more programs that would support those kinds of initiatives in IBM, including really tying it also to if we have this strong partnership with the university and with also the region, and maybe it's multiple, most likely it's multiple universities in that region, then how do we really support more holistically not only the relationships, but the outcomes that we'd be looking for, including having IBM be the provider of infrastructure for a center or whatever however it manifests itself. So I talked briefly yesterday, and I only mentioned two of these, but my director of university programs has come up with this framework of 6 R's to describe what we do in university programs. And I have a very small team that supports global university programs, but I really rely on about 5,000 people who are worldwide working with and in some cases on the campuses around the world. And of course, our partners in Academic Initiative and our software group are key partners to us. So research goes without saying, don't need to give a whole lot of explanation on that. Readiness of skills, we talked a lot about yesterday. And IBM's, again, not only the Academic Initiative, but we have many employees in IBM that are visiting professors, giving lectures, mentoring students. We offer capstone projects in quite a few cases as well. Recruiting, we don't do recruiting, but we support recruiting. And of course, when we're looking for our top, for example, top PhD candidates for our new initiative of cognitive computing, our organization has a lot of those contacts already. Yeah, and when I say my organization, I mean the extended organization. Revenue, we're not measured on revenue by any means, although Mike would love me, Mike King in the back, who's our general manager of education industry, would love me to be measured on revenue. But we certainly, again, through the relationships we have, we can give an entree into those universities and really identify where there is a need for, whether it's infrastructure services, and again, where we're looking for a more holistic relationship with a set of universities. It could be a good seeding for that. Responsibility through volunteerism on the campuses. We work very closely with our corporate citizenship organization with all of their efforts around education, including even K-12. And then regions, and it's this last point on regions that we've been trying to, these regional, what we call regional economic development initiatives are kind of popping up for the past, I'd say at least 5 years, you know, kind of popping up in different places as, you know, the demand for it, in some cases coming directly to IBM, governments coming or universities coming to IBM and asking us to partner with them. And what, as I mentioned, we're trying to come up with a more formal way of describing what these are and how we might go about them. Just a bit of history on the areas that we've been working in as real priorities for us in skills development that, you know, also, you know, bleeds into regional economic development. The whole service science initiative, SSME, which many universities adopted into their programs, all the way through, you know, business analytics in 2010, cybersecurity, huge initiative. I mentioned yesterday that we're working with more than 1,000 universities on analytics from a skills standpoint, and that has resulted in several. I'll talk to you about some of the collaborative innovation centers. But cybersecurity also, we're working with more than 200, I think it's even 300 now, universities worldwide with their interest in cybersecurity curriculums and tools for their universities. And this is probably my biggest demand right now that I'm seeing is universities interested in cybersecurity. And now cognitive computing. So what used to be AI, and it's still called AI, among other things, machine learning, natural language processing. We've got, IBM announced last year the Cognitive Systems Institute. We started it with 4 universities around October of last year. And we are extending that. It's now, we have more than 10 universities partnered with us, and we're looking to grow that even further. And we'll have tiers of membership on our cognitive. And it's a combination of research, joint research in some of these very complex areas for cognitive, as well as skills. So we've actually created a 4-course curriculum. The Watson Business Unit in IBM created a 4-course curriculum that we now have 10 universities agreed to get educated on this past summer, the faculty, and are offering it now starting just when this semester started. So again, we'll be doing more of that. We're trying to bring that out to many, many more universities. And I imagine the curriculum also will be continued to expand as well. So we tried to capture what we thought were, you know, some of the components of, you know, regional economic development where IBM can play, be a part of the collaboration. And, you know, of course, as I mentioned, where the government, the industry, in this case, not just IBM, but even, you know, several of our clients, and I'll give you some examples in a minute, and academia come together, it really is a win-win all around. And it's something, you know, you can imagine as everyone's, you know, even looking at their expenses, not to say we're not a cost center, but we really look for what's our biggest return on investment, and that's not always measurable, and we're not looking at, again, revenue. We're really looking at how's the bigger return from an overall IBM perspective, working with our clients and the partners, including the governments and universities in those regions. So, you know, certainly we've got, you know, a lot to offer from an IBM standpoint when it comes to skills and the tools and the enablement for that, and in the way of innovation as well. So, you know, the ideal situation for IBM is when we can put some of our best folks on the campuses and they can work directly with the universities and the government to really better understand what are the skills needs. Now, it's a two-way street because, you know, a lot of times, you know, the universities and the economic development centers don't necessarily know, you know, where it's headed. We don't necessarily know where it's headed. But when we collaborate, we can give the foresight and some of the insights as to where we think it's going. You know, we have, for example, our research organization publishes every year a global technology outlook, which, you know, gives the outlook. It used to be out to 10 years. I think it's now more out to 5 years because everything is moving so fast. Some might say it's even 2 years, 2 to 5 years. But every year we publish what we call the GTO, and we take it externally as our headlights. It also is a key part of informing our own senior executives in IBM of where we need to be placing our investments in the future. But we do bring that out externally as well, and we use that to help guide these discussions around where are skills going, what are the job requirements in the future. Just one piece of information. But again, when we collaborate around that kind of discussion of where is the job market going, where is technology going, we can then come up with better action plans together. So I just put a few examples. I'm not going to talk through all of these, but you may have heard about what we've been doing with Ohio, the state of Ohio, along with Ohio State and a couple of other universities, and four companies in the area, Nationwide Insurance, bank, retailer. They had the objective of retaining, some of you are from Ohio, I know, retaining graduates in the state, rather than having them leave after they graduate. And as a result, IBM opened up a center of excellence around analytics, where we have about 500 employees. Now, we didn't just, oh, you want that? Okay, we'll open up a center. We really looked at our strategy for where do we need to build centers of excellence and delivery centers within our services organization. We do a very competitive search on best cost, a whole bunch of things. Where are the skills? Where are the, right? And we concluded and are working now with this Collaborative Innovation Center. The state of Ohio came, with money and their desire to retain the graduates. The universities are a key part of that, of course. And IBM, made some decisions along with, I think what really made this also possible and successful, I think to date, is the fact that there are other companies in the mix, right? They are hiring the graduates as well. And it's more than just hiring the graduates, they're bringing the kinds of projects, the challenges, into the universities that the students are working on to gain that experiential learning that we talked about yesterday. Another one is the state of Baton Rouge in Louisiana. The government, the state came with $14 million over 10 years. And again, after a lot of discussion, and of course we're working with LSU, we have a delivery center we've now established within Louisiana as well as one form of at least hiring the graduates, but again trying to do the similar types of things that we're doing in Ohio. I don't have a chart on what we've done in Ontario, and Marcellus can give more information on that as well. But you heard yesterday about Nova Scotia. We have just a tremendous, what I consider to be a proof point in Southern Ontario with our SOCIP. It's a center of innovation in Southern Ontario, again, with multiple universities, the government of Ontario, and IBM. And it's, to me, that is the model. I went to Marcellus and our Canadian team and said, just write down what you did so that we can start to document this and codify it, so to speak. We've got some international ones as well. I don't have all of these. I only picked 2 charts here out of our group, but Costa Rica is another example where we've established a delivery center in Costa Rica. Again, this one is pretty significant with 1,200 employees. This was just set up in 2014. And again, with the goal being working with universities, local universities, as well as NC State, and being able to, working with the government of Costa Rica in order to establish, or meet their goals with the kind of employment they would like to build in Costa Rica. Another one that I'll just mention also, because I want to give a few international examples, is Singapore, where IBM is working with the National University of Singapore and the government of Singapore, where they basically are establishing, we've established a center of excellence around analytics. Singapore wanted this, the government wanted this center of excellence to serve the communities, the companies within Singapore, but they have an ultimate goal of being the center of excellence for analytics for the ASEAN region as well. So they're not there yet, but we, IBM, as a result of, again, much discussion and really understanding the commitment behind this from the government and the university, we've actually put in one of our research directors in as the head of this Center of Excellence for Analytics. And he's now been there for about a year. And what he's been doing is working with the companies in Singapore to bring in capstone projects that are actually being used by the National University of Singapore, again, to train the students in analytics. So these models, and they're all of these started differently and kind of progressed along a different path to get to where they are today. And again, we're trying to more programize this. So in working with Marcellus and the team, we've come up, or I should say they've come up with what a great way to think about this. I think, at least, it's a good way of thinking about it. And we're working on expanding this a bit more. But to really, talk about how education, in driving skills and training that actually develops solutions in the end. So there's a real output from the skill development and solutions that customer or companies or public sector needs within a region. And of course, it fuels research and innovation that's needed also for those solutions and for the overall economic growth of the region. So with this, I'll leave you with this and transition to Marcellus. And let me just introduce Marcellus Mindel, who's the head of our academic partnerships. He's in Canada, but he's got a global role as well. He's responsible for shaping IBM's involvement in a breadth of regional, national, and international research and curriculum collaborations, centers, and networks. He has over 20 years of software development research, recruiting, training, and partnership experience, and has supervised more than 500 students during the course of his career. In his 7 years of leadership in the IBM Extreme Blue program, it's an innovation program. He can probably tell you more about it as well. He's guided 28 teams of interns that drive real emerging business opportunities for IBM with mentoring from the company's best business, technical, and research leaders. And Marcellus has been, and his team have been really a great partner with my team in trying to really achieve some of these very exciting, actually, goals that we've set for ourselves.